Year's Spirit Spotlight, which highlights a different Wildcat cheerleader who has excelled on the team each week. While the stylists at Salon 114 are extremely busy, they are excited to announce the addition of a full-spectrum infrared sauna. This new addition is available to anyone and comes with an array of health benefits. Sessions are available with flexible times and by the minute. That makes now the time to call at 816-651-3722.
Like that. It turns.
We going? Yep, I can hear myself. All right, everybody, welcome to Harrisonville, Missouri. I am Chad Grammer, voice of the Harrisonville Wildcats, and we're going to do a spring edition of 4Ts.com. We have baseball action. It is 6-0 after 1. A little bit of technical issue. You know, when we take a couple of months off, it's always a chore to figure out how to get back on the air, but I think we are on the air, and we are rocking and rolling on 4Ts.com and at YouTube under 4Ts streaming. And today's just some fun. We're going to have some fun this afternoon. We've got a baseball game going on. 6-0 the score after 1. Smithvillle leads your Harrisonville Wildcats. They're playing Smithvillle, coached by Josh Spear, a Harrisonville grad. And we're here to recognize the 2009 third place team in state. Great year that year for the Wildcats. We'll talk about them throughout the night. I'll have Coach Hicks up here in a little bit, chat with him and some of the other players as they make it in as well. So we are underway here. Second inning is underway. There's a ground ball to third, over to first for the out. Brady Walker retired 5-3 on that one with one out here in the top of the second inning. Brings up Easton Meister to the plate. River Riley.
The catcher, number 22, Jared.
Thank you so much.
Oh. That was Meister that grounded out, sorry. And Nitchie is up at the plate. It is a 1-0 count to him. River Riley on the mound for the Wildcats. Two balls, no strikes, the count. Top of the second inning. Here's the wind, the pitch from Riley. Low, ball 3. 3-0 count to the number 3 hitter, Nitchie for Smithvillle. Comes the 3-0. Right down there for a strike, and Nitchie, as you would at this level, taking all the way on that one, makes it a 3-1 count. There's a little nubber off the end of the back. Shortstop Hall not able to get to it, and it's a little bloop hit into left field. Quickly brought back into the infield by Landon George. one-on-one out now for Smithville, leading 6-0 here in the top of the second inning.
Third baseman number 3, Brad Schramm.
Brad Schramm at the plate. The runner on first, and one out here in inning number 2. Riley on the hill, out of the stretch now with the runner on first. That was high, ball 1. A lot of Wildcat fans will know that name, River Riley. More than likely going to be your starting quarterback for the Wildcats this fall in football season. A lot of these names you will hear, you will recognize. 1-0 swung on and missed. 1 ball, 1 strike, the count. Smithville comes down here on a Friday afternoon, headed to Carthage. They will play Carthage and Joplin tomorrow. So they set this game up, so they wanted to get a game on the way down. Get a 3-game weekend. Nice block by Stevenson, but not able to get it out of his glove to get it down to second base, and the runner advances to second with 1 out here in the second. Be exciting to get Coach Hicks up here in a little bit. We'll talk some baseball, talk 2009 baseball. About 15 years of broadcasting that I've been doing now. Aged myself a little bit. Liner to third. Good snag. Looks the runner back over to first for the out. A great snag by Eric Schrock over at third base. And heads up play to look the runner back. It's 2 outs now here in the top of inning number 2. But that 09 season of baseball, still to this day, the funnest season I've had. That's a line shot into left field. George misplays it, bounces off his shoulder and past him. Has to get it in quickly, but another Smithville run will score, and it's 7-0 Warriors here in the top of the second. So a 7-0 score. Talking about that season, though, we had so much fun that year. A lot of travel with the team that season. Went down to the Lebanon and Camdenton Central Bank Wooden Bat Tournament. Went down with the team down there. That was a blast. 2 days of baseball. You? Were you? Oh. So, anyway, went down to the Lebanon Wood Bat Tournament. We traveled also. I traveled with the team. Overthrow to third, and that makes it 8-0 as Troy Smith is going to score from second base. And it's 8-0 top of the second for the Warriors. And the Kirksville game, we'll get into that game here when we get some of the 09 team up here. But Cats won that game in dramatic fashion. And I remember, one of the things I remember about that game, another nubber off the end of the bat. A ton of hard hit balls against River Riley here, just making enough contact and getting on base. 8-0 our score in the top of the second.
For the Warriors. Designated hitter number 11, Cameron Knuckles.
So, as we were talking about that game, I had several friends of mine. I was living in Blue Springs at the time with one of my buddies, and he is from Kirksville, Missouri. And the whole group of my friends that was listening to the game that day were actually all from Kirksville and listening to the game in Blue Springs, Missouri. And I remember before the 7th inning, we were down 3-1 going into the 7th, and they were talking about how down I was, and we'll try to get the audio on of the top of the 7th inning and talk about that some more. Another just nubber just finds enough real estate to get a base hit, and there's 2 on with 2 outs here in the top of the second, and it is 8-0.
Next up for the Warriors, the right fielder number.
And we talk about the Smithville Warriors that are here. One of the reasons also they wanted to play this game, Josh Spear, their head coach, is also a Harrisonville grad. And I actually have a connection to Smithville as well, a couple of connections. One of my friends, well, most days one of my friends, Jason Leary, lives in Smithville. His kids go to Smithville. And Jason, a lot of you will know the name Jason Leary. He did the Warrensburg. He did the Warrensburg game with us down in Warrensburg. And then also Coach Steve Tingler, he is now does with softball. His son graduated from Smithville. He was my middle school football coach at West Platte back in the day. Then he went over to Smithville. His kids always went to Smithville. His son Jace Tingler is the bench coach for the Texas Rangers and travels with the team and is the bench coach for the Texas Rangers. Came out of Smithville, Missouri. So there's your Did You Know from Smithville today. The sophomore crew over here with the DJing going on. As we're here having some fun from Harrisonville. We're going to have a pitching change. Coming into the game to pitch is going to be Gage Ripperger. So an 8-0 game here in the top of the second. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back here in a minute or two.
Salon 114 on the historic Harrisonville Square is happy to sponsor this year's Spirit Spotlight, which highlights a different Wildcat cheerleader who has excelled on the team each week. While the stylists at Salon 114 are extremely busy, they are excited to announce the addition of a full-spectrum infrared sauna. This new addition is available to anyone and comes with an array of health benefits. Sessions are available with flexible times and by the minute. That makes now the time to call at 816-651-3722.
Second, when buying a home, it is quite the opposite. Let Carol Looney and her staff at American Heritage walk you through the process with ease. They will make sure buying your dream home doesn't become a nightmare. From the first showing until the keys are in your hand, go with the realtors that have called Harrisonville home since 1981. American Heritage Realtors, office located next to Sonic on Commercial, or go see them at americanheritage-realtors.com.
We're working on these headsets. We don't really know what we've got going on. That's a line shot into left center field. George chasing. He's not going to get there. It gets down. 1 run is in. 2 runs will score there. And it'll be 10-0 here in the top of the second inning.
The center fielder, number 2, Brady Walker.
We were just talking about the 09 team, a couple members of that 09 team up here. A couple of members that were instrumental in that Kirksville game that I was just talking about. One of my favorite stories, I'll bring in, does this work? Landon, we'll get Landon over here, get his headset going. And we'll talk to him first because he was instrumental in this. He was our. You're not gonna be able to hear yourself. Can you hear me? No. Okay. Can you hear me though talking?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So he can hear me fine. So we'll get Landon talking here. And Landon, what first thing that comes to your mind of the 09 quarterfinal game? What's the first thought that pops into your head about that ball game?
A lot of emotion. I mean, there's a lot of tension, but there's a lot of emotion going into that game because I know there's a lot of us players that, we would have done anything for each other, and just be able to step on the field and then just come out and compete and have a good game. and just the emotions that backed it were just unbelievable. There's nothing that compared to it still today.
So one of the things I remember after the game talking to you. We had like a 9-hour bus ride home that night because Big Blue was on his last limb. We were on Big Blue 3. These kids over here, these sophomores, don't have a clue about slow Big Blues.
They've got
two Big Blues. They got all the luxuries, but on that 9-hour ride home, we were talking about it, and I remember distinctly you were up. We got the lead 5-3, and you were up to the plate. And I remember your first swing. You swung at one that was about 9 feet high, and you looked like you were trying to chop wood. And I said, "What were you swinging at?" And I distinctly remember you saying, "I didn't care to hit the ball. I was ready to finish the game off as you were pitching. You just wanted to get back out on the mound and finish it off because you knew that you guys were getting ready to punch your ticket to the bottom board."
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of times whenever I was hitting, if I was pitching, a lot of the times I focused more on my pitching than I did the hitting, so I could care less what I did at the plate. And it's that mower, in particular that game, I did not care. I just wanted to go out and get 3 more outs and take the ride home. I mean, that's the one thing I was focused on.
It is 10-0 here, top of the second. Our baseball game is our backdrop here. I mean, it obviously has to be. We talk about the 09 team and talking with Landon Teeler to pop up. Looks like that's going to get out of play. No, great play over on the line right there by the Wildcats. That was Jake Poisel hauling it in behind the dugout. And that will end the inning. So it's 10-0 going to the bottom of the second. We'll stay right here. We'll talk with Landon Teal some more. And, you go back to that game. What was you guys never were out of a game, obviously. Going into the top of the 7th of that game, what was your guys' mindset going into the top of the 7th, being down 2 runs, knowing your season's on the line?
Jeez, I mean, like you said, we were never out of a game, but we, as a team that year, we always found a way to come back. We always pulled together when the time was at crunch time. And there may have been tension in the dugout, but there was also positive attitudes going on as well. And so just knowing that we had that chance, knowing that we could do it, I mean, that was the thing that just set us apart from any other team, just knowing that if I didn't get the job done, I knew the player right behind me was going to pick me up and get the job done, plus some.
Well, and me and Coach were talking before the game here, and I haven't talked much about Kyle's hit, which was awesome in itself. With bases loaded down to your final strike, he gets a bases loaded double, clears the bases. The craziest part of that whole play, we just realized, Delby Hanna scored from first base.
That is a miracle.
So we were coming back, we were talking about that. I was like, I never even thought about the fact that Delby was on first base. I remember, I'll talk to Kyle a little bit about it, but I do remember he had a 2-2 count, and the entire Kirksville crowd jumped up on the 2-2 pitch. They thought they were going to state.
Thought they were winning.
And after the game, on the way home, Kyle said, he goes, "Oh, it was outside."
Yep.
And we'll get into that a little bit more here later with Kyle. But what is that your most vivid memory from that season?
I would say that is. I mean, that's probably, from a pitching standpoint, I know I went to college and played 4 years of baseball, but I never pitched another game like that. I mean, as far as just being dialed in and just throwing strikes and throwing a good game, that's probably my best game I've ever thrown in my life. And just the reward from throwing, knowing you get to go to state after that, I mean, that's by far just the pitching alone was the thing that I carry away from that whole season. So,
what other memories from that season do you? I mean, I was talking a little bit ago, the wooden bat tournament trip, the trip to Springfield, obviously for the state Final Four, but I think what I would remember most about it, you touched on it a little bit, is how great how together that team was. Like, you guys, everything that you guys did was for each other, and there was never a time where you were getting mad at one another. You all it just was one of those teams.
Oh yeah, I mean, at practice, we chirp off to each other. We get frustrated with one another, even out there on the field. But at the end of the game, come the next day, we're right there back for each other, ready to fight for one another. And road trips with those guys was probably some of the funnest. Going down to Camdenton, I love going down there. And one of those I remember was Delby just smashing the cover off the baseball down at Camdenton. He did that well all the time, but just down there, he had so many long balls that you just sit there and watch them. It's like, oh my gosh.
That was kind of the time that we saw him with those wooden bats. That was when you knew that Delby would be able to play at the next level.
Absolutely.
And
100%.
obviously knee issues, derailed his baseball career. But that was one of the things. He was one of the most patient hitters. I almost feel like that team was the 14-15 Royals before we had the 14-15 Royals.
Sure.
You guys did everything fundamentally sound.
Yep.
There was no superstar on your team. You were all a big team.
Absolutely.
And everybody stepped up at given times. The sectional game against Savannah here, and James Fitzgerald hits a 3-run homer off of their ace.
Yeah.
That, I don't know that it's still landed yet.
Exactly.
It was a bomb, but we were talking about that. And then you've got, your best power hitter, Delby Hanna, career leader in home runs for Harrisonville history. And in the top of the 7th inning, he had his weakest hit of his entire career, a little squibber down the third base line that ended up reaching on an error. So, that was what was awesome about that team, is like you just guys kept coming at people. So I'll tell you what, it was fun. It's hard to believe. It makes me feel old that it was 10 years ago, and I can't imagine you guys now that
feel old.
You guys are all 27, 28-ish, and all working, and that's one of the things I don't know that everybody's going to be able to get back tonight. I don't know, you're here, Kyle's here, I think Delby was going to try to get back, and a couple of the others, but I know Seth and Storm, obviously Storm's out in Colorado, and he's out in Colorado, so he wasn't able to make it back. Seth, busy being a real estate agent. List goes on.
That's right.
James Fitzgerald, who was a pitcher and played a lot on that team, he wasn't able to make it because he's an assistant coach, I believe, at Cassville.
Probably.
I'll have to ask Coach Hicks.
Sure.
I think Cassville. And he wasn't able to make it because he has his master's ceremony tomorrow.
Oh, awesome.
And I think they probably had a practice or game tonight. So, lot of you guys doing a lot of different things, and that's what's awesome about it. And as the night goes on, we'll all be sharing stories about that season.
Always.
So I welcome you to join me, and I'm glad you joined me, and I will bring one of these other goofballs on here in a little bit if they decide to want to come on. So I appreciate you joining me,
Sounds
Landon.
good. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. That is Landon Teal. And I feel sorry for Landon's little brother because it took me about a year and a half to actually say Logan instead of Landon. And I'm pretty sure a couple of games I even still said Landon. Oh, and here's an interesting side note of Landon Teal. He is ambidextrous, people don't know. And in basketball, it took me, he played 4 years of basketball with Coach Mercer, and him, Derek, and Kyle all played 4 years of all three varsity sports. And he would shoot his first free throw right-handed, is that right? Yep. And if he missed it, he would shoot his second free throw left-handed. And the other crazy thing about him was he would go and he wouldn't realize he would do it. He would just do it in game. One time in the corner, he'd hit a three left-handed. Next time he was shooting right-handed. And after a couple of years, you would start watching him. And defenders didn't know how to defend him because they were like, I know this kid shot left-handed last time. Why is he shooting right-handed this time? So anyway, that's my interesting tidbit. That one's over the head of the outfielder. We're getting all excited to talk about this. I almost forgot we had a baseball game up there. We're back at action. It is 10-0 here in the top of inning number 3. Cats trying to get back in this one.
Number 27, Evan Verholst.
I'll give these headset get Coach Hicks up here and start talking. Coach Hicks. Coach Hicks able to join us because Coach Hicks is not coaching tonight because Coach Hicks got in a little trouble last night.
Yeah.
So Coach Hicks, we talked about it. We'll leave most of it off the air. He was dismissed from the ball game last night in Odessa, so he's not able to be out on the field helping coach, and he's pulling his hair out up here watching the game so far. It is an 11-0 game now here in the top of the third. But Coach, glad you could join us up here because I said today when you texted me and you said, well, I think I'll be up there with you. I was like, well, I don't know whether to be happy or sad because I was excited you were able to join us up here, but at the same time, I know you'd rather be out there on the field. But that 09 team, you may have heard some of the stuff me and Landon were talking about. Just a great group of kids that, every once in a while you get a group of kids like that, and those are those type of groups that take you far, and that team did.
Yeah, and I've been fortunate enough to be Final Four in 3 different sports, and each one of those teams, there was a point in the season where you just go, this team has a chance. And with that 09 team, it was the first week of tryouts. And I told Coach Sam Borski that. I said, this team's got a chance to be special. And he goes, don't. He goes, no. He goes, too early. Fly ball on the infield, caught by second baseman Logan Johnson for the second out, I believe. First, second.
See, that's what I like. I got Coach up here. I mean, what's crazy to me is some of these kids, I only see them on a football field. So I don't even know what they look like when they don't have a helmet on. So.
Yeah, no, that 09 team though, that was a really fun team. Great bunch of kids to be around. That ball down the right field line.
I'm just gonna let him roll with the play-by-play as we're doing this. He's got the vision for it. They just when you're talking about, we got Landon and Kyle up here and they're over there chatting about the 09 team. They were sophomores on that team along with Derek Haug, and those 3. Something a lot of people don't talk about that scene when they graduated high school. They will go down. I don't think there will ever be another class that'll come through Harrisonville that'll go down with as many accolades as that senior class, boys and girls wise, will go down with. They won a state title in football.
Yep.
They went to the Final Four in baseball. They made it to the sectional round in basketball, something that hadn't been done in 30 years.
Long time.
Just all around, their soccer program also did well.
Hitter number 11, Cameron Knuckles.
The strike out there, right?
Strikeout by Ripperger for second out.
And just their girls soccer team, I believe, went to the Final Four.
Yes.
I mean, just up and down the list, that senior class accomplishments is insane.
It is, and you those classes don't come along very often, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of that with those guys and those girls too, and so it's something special. That class will always be near and dear to not just my heart, but I think every teacher, administrator, and coach in the district at that time with them as well. So. You just try not to screw them up.
Well, and you talk about them. Obviously, they were only sophomores on that team. Which, let's talk about that for just a second. Kirksville game.
Oh yeah.
You're down 3-1. We're down 3-1 in the 7th inning. Down to our final strike. Kyle Livingston line drive in the right field, gets a hit, clears the bases, or 3-2 at that time we were down. We were down 1 run, but clears the bases, makes it 5-3. Sophomore with the hit. Your pitcher, your ace of your staff, sophomore, goes back out there for the 7th and closes the door on him. I mean, that just kind of tells you that those kids were on the field. They were just gamers all around. And I mean, you go to 2 years later when they were seniors, and they beat, I believe that was the year that they beat Kearney at Kearney in the
football, yes.
quarterfinals where nobody gave them a shot in the world.
Yep, you're right.
And they won that game. And it just goes to show you, like, all through their career, they always came up big at big moments.
Competitors through and through, not just on the field. There's a strikeout to end the top of the third. Smithville still leading 11-0. We need to get some offense rolling here. This is a pretty good Smithville team anyway, but a little tough for these guys tonight after dropping one in the bottom of the seventh at Odessa last night in a heartbreaking fashion. But that 09 team, they wanted to win. And not just on the field, but off the field and in the classroom
just a reminder to
too.
everyone,
I think there was a
coming
bunch
up
of
tomorrow,
scholarships
Saturday, April 27th, from
that were given out to those.
4.
The
athletic.
you look at that 09 baseball team. Derek Haug went on.
Baseball softball complex.
Play a little bit up at Northwest
There'll be
Missouri.
a silent
Landon
auction,
Teal went to
a
KCK
scavenger
and then
hunt,
on to
a tennis ball toss,
College of the Ozarks.
hot dog eating contest.
James Fitzgerald, he went to Pitt State, became a closer down there.
Parade, a home run derby
Gosh,
contest.
And he was being looked at by some pro clubs. I know
Yeah.
the Phillies talked to him several times, and
Yep.
So you don't wanna
When you're
miss that.
left-handed
So come out
and
tomorrow.
you throw hard,
Here.
you're going to get a chance. Oh my gosh, you just go up and down the lineup, and
Seth played at Evangel, and
Seth and Storm both.
Yeah.
Yes, played 4 years at Evangel, and and that's the thing is Haug and Seth and Storm. Everybody talks about summer ball and this and that. They got seen during high school ball, and Seth and Storm during district tournament the year before.
And I'll scream it for all the coaches out there that like to have kids specialize. Do not specialize.
No.
That team was the perfect example of kids.
All of
we
them
talked about
three-sport
all
athletes.
3 sport athletes. We talked about the guys that were sophomores on that team and what they did their 4 years of high school. They all played football. They all played basketball. They all played baseball. They were busy doing something all year round, and it led to more success in college and down the road.
Exactly, and they played every sport with passion. Which you'll get some guys. Oh, I'm going to go play basketball just to stay in shape. Brian Schrock with a foul ball down the left field line. You're in the bottom of the third, and playing with passion. These kids don't play all 3 sports with passion anymore. They'll play one with passion. So they've got to figure that out. So Schrock with a strikeout. Brings up left fielder Landon George.
Landon George, we talk about multiple sport athletes. Landon George up at the plate.
Yep.
He is three sport athlete. Was quarterback most of the year. Got injured late in the year, which led way to River Riley, who was your starting pitcher tonight.
Yep.
That'll probably be the quarterback next year. I would expect to see Landon, good athlete as he is. He'll be playing probably on the defense side of the ball next year.
Yep.
But nevertheless, that we talk about this players playing multiple sports, and got a couple of them over here with Afro Man over there in the corner.
Candy Atkinson.
Hopefully
Connor
he's
Blitz.
100% back to health after
we miss him in baseball this spring too.
Gruesome
He's not
injury
able
in football
to come out for baseball this year. But you go back to that being down to the last strike there in the 7th inning at Kirksville. I was just talking to Kyle about this, and Delby Hannon was on first base, and that game was so intense. I was just like, I cannot watch this. I just can't watch it. The last pitch, I don't want to see it. So I told Delby, I said, you get your lead. The count is 2-2 count at that time on Kyle, and I said, I can't watch this. I said, Delby, I got the first baseman on a back pick. I said, just get your lead, be ready to go. I said, going on contact. So I'm watching him, and I hear the pitch hit the glove, and I hear ball.
Next up to the Cats.
And the first base umpire said, oh my, that pitch has been there all night. And I went, oh, no. And I asked Delby, I said, where was it? He goes, it was outside. And so now it's 3-2. 2 out. Delby, make sure he's going home. You're on your horse. We're going. And that one I did watch the pitch, and Kyle lace that ball into right field, and it squeaked between the right fielder and the line, and I can't believe that Delby Hanna scored from first base on that, but
we did. Me and Linda just talked about that while ago. That ends the bottom of the third for the Cats, still down in the 11-0 as we go to the top of inning number 4. This is the only awesome thing about not having sponsors for this game. We don't have to go to the commercial break to get all our sponsors.
That's awesome.
We have played some of our sponsors, obviously, throughout the game that we've had throughout the year, which are some of our great sponsors that allow us to get games on the air. And we're going to do something different next year as well. We're going to be offering a different package next year for our sponsors, a little bit higher tier. And what that's going to enable us, hopefully, to do if we get enough of those people on board, is to pick up some baseball, some softball, some volleyball, some wrestling.
It'd be awesome.
The secondary sports that don't get a lot of the coverage. So, you've been around long enough in this town. You know what runs this town. But I love the fact that we have a football program the way we do that. And we have sponsors that step up for football and basketball, and we want to get everybody else involved as well. We want to be able to go to a couple of soccer games in the fall, a couple in the spring. We want to do some baseball. I mean, back in the day, we did them all. I talked about all the bus rides we had that season.
You talk about bus rides, okay? So this is one for everybody else out there. Here's a Chad Grammer Final Four story for you, okay? So we're getting on Big Blue 4. I think it was 4.
No, 3. We were still in the old school and the silver sides.
Okay.
Number 4.
I guess I have been around a little bit longer because I thought I started here with 4, but so Big Blue's pulled up. We're getting ready to load up to head to Springfield for the Final Four, and Coach Samborski and I, we got everything there. We're standing around. We get here early, and here comes Chad. Chad's got his price chopper sack full of candy. Not just for everybody, it's for him. You guys remember that? Okay. So we got this planned where we're going to stop and eat at Smith's in Collins on the way down, because we're leaving at 9 o'clock or something. We're going to grab some lunch and then head on down. By the time we get to Collins, Chad has ate that whole sack of candy. And after lunch, then goes next door to the convenience store and buys a bunch more of it for the rest of the trip to Springfield.
And I will let you know that I still always have my sweet tooth, but if you look at the pictures on this DVD that we'll probably watch tonight, I was fat.
No,
in 09.
No. He wasn't fat. He was husky.
My face, I was puffy, and so anyway, good thing we could poke fun at ourselves.
Yeah.
One of the stories I remember, Coach Hicks' story from Big Blue 3, is Seth Bailey and Coach Hicks had a thing all year long where they played slug bug.
Yes.
And I'm sitting up front, and me and Coach Sam are talking about something, and Seth is right behind us in the seat, and we're going through the middle of Springfield, and all of a sudden...
And here's a key to this. I lived in Springfield for 6 years, so I knew where the car dealership was. He didn't.
So Coach Hicks has had this plan for hours, and all of a sudden, I hear Seth just scream like a little girl. He goes, I was like, what in the world? Well, Coach Hicks is on top of Seth Bailey on the bus going, slug bug, slug bug, slug bug. And we're looking around. We're going past the Volkswagen dealership in Springfield, and there's about 25 VW Beetles lined up.
Every color. I started calling out colors. And then Seth tries to get me back. He goes, slug bug rainbow. I'm like, I didn't see that one out there, but that was a blast. And let me tell you where that story started. The slug bug game.
The left fielder, number 1, Easton Meister.
That slug bug game actually started the year before, when we were on our way to the sectional game at St. Joe Philwell Stadium to play Savannah.
Coach is on the radio right now.
And Coach Reeves, who was our assistant then, he was with us, and Coach Sam, I knew he was uptight, he was nervous, and he's doing his thing, and he's trying to relax, and so I'm like, okay, he's gotta. I need something just to break the tension a little bit. So I just tapped Reeves on his shoulder and I said, watch this. He goes, what? I said, just watch this. So Coach Sam, he's got his eyes closed. He's relaxing.
22, Jaron Nishi.
Next Volkswagen Beetle that came by, I just hauled off and drilled Coach Sam in the arm, woke him up, and I said, slug bug yellow. And then it was on from there. And that was he probably needed to have that happen because we went up there and had a good game against Savannah and won that one to have the quarterfinal game against Boonville here. That was in 08, so it went back a little bit, but that was a blast.
In the 08, lost a heartbreaker here to Boonville. That team is, you're close to, that could have been back-to-back Final Four appearances. And one of the things I'll remember from all the bus rides, we had a blast on these bus rides. And one of the things I remember about 09, I'll give a Storm Bailey story because I don't know if you remember this, coming back from the lake. And it was like an afternoon game. I think it was coming back from the lake.
From Camdenton?
Yeah, and we played the extra inning game against Lebanon.
Oh, yes.
And it went like 11 innings. And my part of that story is, after the 6th inning, I'd had to go to the bathroom for like 3 innings already. And we're going to the 7th, and I'm like, okay, we got to finish it here in the 7th inning. The problem was there is no restroom at Lebanon's field within like a quarter mile.
No,
like it's over at the football field. So we go to extra innings. I was like, okay, I can probably last an inning. We went to the 11th, and I won't ever forget. I'm pretty sure we walked them off, and I don't remember who got the hit in that game. But as soon as it was, I was like, Cats win, I'll be right back. And I ran out. I ran out of it, jumped over the fence, and ran so I could get to the bathroom while we were in a commercial break.
I had totally forgot that was an extra inning game, and I think it was Dustin Cowan that got the hit. I can't remember, but that was I think it was a championship or third place game. Lebanon, third place game. Yeah.
And so on the way home, we didn't get home until like 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, it was late.
And so I'm sitting back there. I was talking to Taylor Saunders back in the back, and we were all sitting back there, and Storm was back there with us. We were just laughing. Well, Jarek Fitzgerald was like the manager.
Yeah.
He was only he might have been.
He was a freshman.
Yeah. So he's crawling under the seats of the bus, and he's trying to mess with Storm, and he finally gets Storm's leg and like just barely like touches it like that. Storm jumps up in the air, jumps up in the seat like a little girl, and starts screaming, "There's somebody's on the bus! Somebody's on the bus!" Has a nervous breakdown. Me, Jarek, Taylor, and I don't even remember who else was back there. We were laughing. So we were at about, I think we were about Uric, because we were getting close to home, and the whole damn bus was up by this point. And we, I couldn't stop laughing for like 5 or 10 minutes. And Storm, I mean, he sounded like a little girl when he did it. It was so funny. And the whole bus is up, and then everybody's looking back there. What is going on?
Yeah. One of them, too, I can't remember, was it Seth or Storm, would always ask, are we home or away? And we could be at home. That's not, it could be either one of them, but yeah.
Well, now let's give them a little credit though, because once you get to the playoffs, it really you flip a coin every game, sectional, quarterfinals, regardless of who's.
Yeah, but they were even asking that when we were playing at home during the regular season.
All right, well, okay, we won't give them too much credit then.
There's another part of that bus ride coming back from Kirksville that's pretty funny too, but you'll have to ask Kyle about that when he gets on here. So.
Yeah, we'll talk. Well. The craziest part about that game coming home, I remember at the top of the 7th we were down 3-1, and we got an out. I mean, we were down 2 outs, and we still were down 3-1. I believe we got all of our runs with 2 outs. And I'm thinking, my first thought right then is like, man, this is going to be the longest bus ride in the history going home. Not only because it took 6.5, 7 hours to get home because Big Blue was on his last leg and we had to go like 55 miles an hour all the way home.
Yeah.
But couple it with a loss, it would have been terrible.
It'd have been rough.
And so that's one of the things I remember about that bus ride there. And I just remember that in that game was just
Hagen Stevenson.
I didn't know. I was like, gosh, this is not going to be a fun bus ride home. And then, all the magic happened after that. But
yeah. And that was another quick one here because we got one out and then the bottom of the fourth here. We're going to have to go down and do our thing here in a minute. Coach Sam on that bus ride on the way back, he goes, I'm taking tomorrow off. I'm driving to Cape. I have to watch Lutheran South and Cape Notre Dame play. He goes, I just got to have scouting on him. Nobody over there will give me film. He goes, I'm going to film that game. And thank goodness Hagen got a base hit to the right side to extend this inning a little bit. He goes, why don't you go to Carl Junction and scout Quentin and Carl Junction?
For the Cats, the
And I'll go there. I'll drive to Cape. And I said, all right, I can do that. Well, we got home about 1:30 in the morning, and I said, I'll go down after school. Coach Sam took the day off. He drove to Cape Girardeau, which is a 6-hour drive.
Courtesy runner for Hagen.
Filmed that game and drove back after a long bus ride to and from Kirksville. He hit 3 of the 4 corners of the state within 24 hours.
That's hard to do in Missouri. People don't realize those are long trips.
It is a long trip because there's no easy way to get to Cape Girardeau. But a lot of fun memories. We could fill this up for hours.
We may be here till midnight, but some of the stories won't be told on the air. We'll be talking about those
Kyle
maybe afterwards at Forged by Fire.
Other stuff that we cannot be said on air, but that was definitely a fun group. But
I'll let you get to. I know we're gonna recognize that 09 team here shortly. I'll let you get down to kind of get that organized, and we'll bring you maybe back on a little bit ago, a little bit later, because we also do need to talk about the
weapons and ammo.
Weapons and ammo. That's what we haven't got to that yet.
We haven't even got to that.
And I've got Kyle Livingston up here. I got to get him on there. We got all kinds of fun stuff to talk about. So
all right, sounds good, man. All right, weapons and ammo. That's a whole nother story there. I wish some of those guys were here, but
So we'll get that on, and I think Coach is going to have me and. Do you want me to be doing that with the team?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
So I will be reading that off about the 09 team coming up between. We're going to do that between the 4th and the 5th, so that is coming up shortly.
Yep, it is.
All right, we'll let Coach get.
Runners at first and second here for the 5-hole hitter, Jake Poisel, first baseman.
All righty, well, we'll get to that, and then we'll get to that in between. And
thanks, Chad.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it.
So we will get to that here in just a couple of minutes, and.
Tell you what, if I can skate it around you here, get your script for that.
Oh yeah, Coach gonna get the script, and I'll just hold the mic and I'll do it all. I'll do 2 at 1.
How's that?
Or I'll just set this over next to it. So you're not gonna be able to talk yet. You gotta wait till you go down after the inning. Kyle's like,
I might not come back.
No, you're coming back up here. We got good stories to tell with Kyle. So. It is bottom of the 4th inning. 11-0 is our score here. 2 on, 1 out in the bottom of the 4th.
Justin Schrock.
I wonder if these kids are you itching to be able to be out there right now, Kyle?
I thought about it when I first got here.
That's one of those things you always see these ball games. You're like, gosh, I wish I was out there hitting the ball around. I'm going to have to work with Coach Hicks. We've talked about it in the past. We're going to have to start a yearly, Wildcat baseball reunion game on a Saturday. I mean, I don't know that any of us want to play actually baseball. We may have to relegate to some softball.
These guys.
I'll be the courtesy runner. I don't know if I can still hit a baseball. I've been hitting a slow pitch softball over the last 15 years. somebody wants to lob it into me, I'm able to hit it. Totally different swing. So we're in the bottom of the 4th inning, 2-strike count on Poisel. We got the 09 teams. Why didn't I get mine signed, Coach? And this one's in the gap, left center field. Not able to come up with it is the left fielder. Runner around third, 1 run is in. And throw to third, no, he'll eat it at shortstop. And the Cats are on the board down 11-1 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. It brings up.
Next up for the Cats, the third baseman, number 12,
Eric Schrock to the plate. So here we are in the bottom of the 4th inning, and it's 11-1 our score. Again, between the innings here, we're going to have a recognition of that 2009 state Final Four team that was able to get third. There's a squibber off the end of the bat, but left fielder is there, and a nice toss home to keep the runner from advancing. 2 outs now here in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Next up for the Cats, the right fielder, number 5, Gage Anderson.
So an 11-1 game here in the bottom of the 4th. Cats trying to get a couple here. Want to extend this game as long as possible. You know, in these games like this at a high school level, it's a 10-run game right now, but you get the aluminum bats, metal bats, whatever you want to call them these days, composite bats, it can turn in a heartbeat, especially if they run out of pitching. 11-1 is our score here in the bottom of the 4th. A 1-strike count to Gage Anderson. A grounder up the middle, picked off by the shortstop, fires to first for the out, and that makes it 11-1.
Yeah, Coach Hicks, you want to say anything or what?
You want? We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back right after this.
It's never too early to teach your little ones about finances and saving money. Sherwood Community Bank has plenty of options available for you to help kids save and learn how to manage money. Savings accounts can be started as soon as one is born to help teach them to save. Once they are behind the wheel, a checking account with free internet banking and a debit card could be there for them to manage their money. Sherwood Community Bank is there for the youngsters. Just ask Braxton.
Go see them at Sherwood's Bank. That's where my account is.
No matter how many things you've had on the menu at Applebee's, everyone has their favorite. Whether it's an appetizer sampler, chicken fajita roll-up, or 3-cheese chicken penne with a side of buffalo sauce, you always go back to your favorite. At some point over the years, every Wildcat has had a meal at Applebee's. The next time you head to Applebee's in your Wildcat gear, mention the Wildcat Special and receive a 10% discount. Applebee's of Harrisonville on Rockhaven Road, catty corner to Quick Trip.
Thank you, Kansas City, for making us the fastest growing Ford dealership in the Midwest. Going on right now, Max Ford is having a regional Carfax Advantage event. That's right, going on right now. Take advantage of the huge pre-owned inventory. Over 65% of our pre-owned vehicles are one owners. Max Motors guarantees to beat the other dealers' online price by $500. We offer the lowest prices with a hassle-free shopping environment, which makes us the easiest place to buy a car. Max Ford of Harrisonville, 291 and 71 Highway, maxford.com.
The Atkinsons take great pride in being members of the community. They will soon graduate a 4th-generation Wildcat. With this kind of commitment to Harrisonville, you know Atkinson Funeral Home will be there for you. As always, they are proud sponsors of the Harrisonville Wildcats.
Teammates on a football field are a must. That's why Cameron Chenoweth of American Family and Lacey Dominick of Shelter Insurance are teaming up to give you options in the insurance market. They know you have choices, and they want to work together like the Wildcat football team to make sure you have the best insurance coverage out there. To see what their team can do for you, call Cameron Chenoweth at 816-380-3996 and Lacey Dominick at 816-380-2700.
It's happened to all of us, running a few minutes late and not enough time to drive somewhere to get out and go in to get a coffee, tea, latte, or delicious muffin or cinnamon roll. Good news, Brew Daddy's Coffee is now open and boasts Harrisonville's only drive-through coffee shop. Quick, convenient, and delicious is exactly what Brew Daddy's is for you. Opening at 6 a.m. and staying open all afternoon on Fridays to give you that caffeine boost before the game. Brew Daddy's Coffee right next to Commerce Bank on Commercial.
When you climb in your vehicle with your kids and head to the Wildcat game, you want to be safe. Make sure your tires are safe by visiting William and Michelle's at Young's Tire and Wheel Center. You might not need them today. William can give you a peace of mind by letting you know when you will. If tires are needed, they will get you the best tire on the market and Harrisonville's best tire warranty with free flat repair for life of the tire. So stay safe with new tires from Young's Tire and Wheel Center.
Not Steve. Holland Auto Sales, with 3 generations of Hollands graduating from Harrisonville, means he will be here for years to come. So go see the guy who the Grammer family trusts to buy from, Steve Holland with Holland Auto Sales on Commercial Street, just past Burger King.
One of the scariest things to do is to take your car to a mechanic. No reason to be scared when you have the best mechanics around right here in Harrisonville. Colby and the crew at Colby's Car Clinic are all ASE certified mechanics with the latest equipment to keep your vehicle running smoothly year in and year out. Add new tires and being a rough country lifts and accessory dealer, Colby's Car Clinic takes the fear out of getting your car fixed. So give Colby a call at 816-380-3000 or go see them in the big blue building behind O'Reilly's.
All right, we go to the 5th in an 11-1 lead for the Smithville Warriors over the Wildcats here in Harrisonville. Cats need to hold Smithville here and try to get a couple of runs in the bottom of the 5th to try to keep this game rolling, as after 10-run lead after 5, games are over at the high school level. So
third baseman number 3, Brad Schramm.
See if we get the Cats going here. Clean up hitter. They got the 4, 5, 6 due up here in the 5th for Smithville. It'll be Schramm, Smith, and right out. Ripperger is still in there pitching. This one's outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes to count here in the top of the 5th inning. Just recognize that 2009 team we were talking about. Most of the game we've been talking about with Coach Hicks. Coach Hicks was out there. Hopefully Coach Samborski is able to get down here for the post game. Several of us are going to get together and just kind of talk about the year and hopefully get Kyle back up here. I don't know, he may get down there and start talking. We may not see him back up here. But one of the things I just was reading off in the between innings, just the amount of dominance that team had. They were 24-8. Their district, this was their final scores during districts. 15-0, 16-2, and 15-1 to win a district title. They outscored their opponents 46-3 in the district tournament, which is absolutely insane. Great game. I remember the sectional game here, 11-10 was the final. Savannah had a pitcher, Partridge, that ended up going to Kansas State. And he pitched, he was only a junior in that game, and he was pitching late in the game. They brought him in to pitch because they were trying to save, honestly, I think they were trying to save him for the quarterfinal game, which, at that time, you know, that was just foul down the left field line, but you try to save your pitcher for that quarterfinal game, but at the same time, you've got to do what you can to win. So they brought him in late in the ball game, and James Fitzgerald's, it was a lefty-lefty matchup, which, usually your lefty-lefty matchups are one that favors the left-handed hitter, and James put one out off a 3-run shot in that ball game, and it went, if anybody's been at Harrisonville's field, the high school is behind it. Well, the back of the gym and is back there, and he put it to the side of the gym in between the two buildings. There is, it sets back in there a little farther, which is where the commons or the cafeteria area is. He one-hopped that building back there. I mean, it was a shot, a 3-run shot at that. This one's into the gap in left center. Center fielder up with it quickly in for the Cats. It's 11-1. nobody out here in the top of the 5th. And we got Kyle Livingston joining us now. And Kyle, we've talked to a couple others here already, and we talked about the hit. I mean, we might as well call it the hit from that season. You get a bases loaded clearing double that puts the Cats in the Final Four. Just first of all, take me through that at bat. Like what? As you went through that at bat, I know the 2-2 pitch. We talked about it, and we talked about it I remember on the way home we talked about it a little bit, but kind of take me through that bat a little bit.
Started on deck. I was watching Delby. I don't know. I was just trying to get the pitcher's timing down and everything. And I think I went down 0-2, maybe 1-2, but I was down 0-2, and then I don't know. I just never really lost confidence in the zone and everything, and he threw me an outside fastball at 2-2. It was probably a fist outside, and then he came right back to it the next pitch, and I was all over it. Hit a line drive to right field, and everybody scored. And really, as soon as I hit the ball, I knew we were going to go up, and I just felt like it was over from that point.
Well, and that was, we talked about it with Landon, and that's what he said. He goes, we were up 5-3. He was like, he was dialed in. He goes, I was just ready to get back out there and pitch. He goes, I didn't care if I got struck out or not, and he struck out on, I think, 4 or 5 pitches.
Well, I think if you asked Coach Sam, he even told him, hey, let's go get these outs and get out of here. But Landon was like you said, he threw a complete game. I think the last inning he struck 2 of the guys out, so I don't know.
What I remember about that at bat too is that 2-2 pitch was outside, and it was about 6 inches outside. Their fans went crazy because they thought they had strike 3. And you told Coach Hicks, you heard him talk about how the umpire said that was there all night.
Yeah.
Well, I remember on the way home on the bus, we had several hours to kill, and Coach Sam asked you, we were all sitting up there, and Coach Sam asked you, the run comes home on a little squibber to the outfield, and that's kind of been the MO of the Smithville Warriors tonight, a little squib hit, scoring runs, and it's now 12-1 here in the top of the 5th. So you told him, you're like, Coach, it was 6 inches outside, so there we are with the iPad or the film. We get it out and we start watching it, and sure enough, it was exactly where you said it was, 6 inches outside.
I watched it all the way back into the glove and everything. I knew it was out there, but, when you're at home and it's 2-2 and say last out of the game, of course the crowd's going to go crazy, But I was just, I don't know, for some reason in that at bat, when I got down 0-2, it kind of calmed me down a little bit. I just felt like I had nothing to lose.
That was, one of those games. You did a lot. You did some pitching that year as well. Closed out some games as well. I asked Landon this. I asked Coach this. What do you remember most about that team?
About the team? Oh, man. I don't know. I think it's just how everybody was like, I've been on a lot of teams, and I think that was probably the closest team I've ever played on. Everybody was like, I want to say like brothers, but like,
the cliche is obvious.
Mess around with everybody, we knew how to push each other's buttons, and it was just, we were just a close group of guys. And I think that's a big part of it. It says a lot about that Kirksville game, because we were down that whole game. But we never felt down. Like we always, we knew our time was coming where we were going to get back on top.
What was the feeling like going into the 7th, knowing that you had 3 outs to save your season?
Everybody knew it was do or die. I remember everybody. We kind of came together in the dugout. I was like, look, hey, whatever it takes. And I think we're at the bottom of the lineup.
8-9-1 was due up.
And everybody got on. I think there was 2 outs though. But
well, here I'll pull it up here. We had, it was your 8-9-1, and that's the wrong one. Let's go to this one. All right, here we go. So it was the 8-9-1. Taylor led off, got a single, and then Garrett struck out. So you had a runner on. Seth was up. Seth hit into a fielder's choice.
Okay.
So that took you to.
Got on.
So so there was two outs with Seth on first. And then Storm walked, Derek walked, so you had then you had the bases loaded, and you're thinking, okay, you got Delby Hanna up.
That's why I was telling you to start in the on-deck circle. I'm thinking I may not even have to worry about my at-bat, because, Delby's probably going to go yard or something.
And Delby hits the weakest ground ball he hit in his entire career, a little squibber down the third base line.
Thank God the kid made an error.
Scored the one run, makes it 3-2. That brings you up to the plate. Then the rest, obviously, as they say, is history.
Yeah.
But you talked about that team just being so close, and that's what I was talking to Landon about. And I've been doing this for over 15 years now, and I've covered a lot of teams with the 07 state championship team in football, the 2016 state championship football team, your all's run to the Final Four, 2 basketball teams that made it to the sectionals. And I always go back to that team and that season as my favorite to ever cover, because I think a lot of it was probably a couple of things that for me personally that brought me. That was when I really was getting embedded in the Harrisonville community. That was my first real year around the team. I rode the bus with you guys to Kirksville. So we just all kind of meshed in together. I mean, you talked about pushing buttons. We're all back there in the back talking, and Jarek Fitzgerald's crawling under seats, messing with Storm Bailey.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff like that, man.
So let me ask you this, because you've always called him this. I'll have to. Where does the nickname is that his Steve?
Well, when I first got my freshman year, I played varsity baseball with them, and I couldn't tell Storm and Seth apart at the time. I didn't know the difference between them yet, and so I just called them both Steve, and it just kind of stuck. And then just whenever I had an opportunity, I'd call either one of them Steve just to mess with them. They had names for me too. They each called me a different name, but I can't remember them right now.
Well, mine, I don't know if you heard Kyle earlier when he wasn't actually on, but he come up and said hi. He said, "What's up, Squirrel?" Somehow, Dustin Cowan started that. It started
because at a basketball game at Pleasant Hill, I think it was, their press box or whatever, wherever you were sitting, was way up in the top. And I think Dustin was there maybe. And we were like walking in the gym or like getting ready, and he's like, "Look at Chad all the way up there like a squirrel."
So that somehow stuck. I've had
Chad the squirrel, man.
when you've been a lot, I'm pushing 42 this summer, and I've had some nicknames over the years. Squirrel, that was one. I have a good one. When I was a freshman in high school, I was only about 5 foot tall, and believe it or not, I was tiny. And I played on like the scout basketball team. We had a small school, so like your freshman varsity, JV, everybody played together. And when you do that, whoever's not starting on one of those 3 teams is your scout team, and they're running against all the other 3 teams as you're doing drills. Well, I was one of those kids because I was only 5 foot tall. I wasn't going to be playing much in a varsity game, and they started calling me Tinkerbell.
Oh God!
Because I was so tiny.
That's a little better than, or Squirrel's a little better than that.
Yeah, Squirrel is definitely better than Tinkerbell. Well, they changed it too halfway through the season because I was so pesky. I was getting steals and stuff. They started calling me Magic, which that made me feel pretty good. But
I might have to remember that next time I see you.
Magic, what's I can only imagine some of the nicknames you had throughout the years.
I had a few. I remember
another line shot in the right field.
Said "Got KY."
Yes, KY. Do you still have that shirt?
I don't have one of the shirts anymore. I wish I did, but I don't even remember who made them. But there's a bunch of them.
No, yeah, I was the one that brought. Yeah, I brought. Well, okay, so the story is there's these shirts that say "Got KY." I think I had it on one of the trips.
Because this is like KY radio.
Yeah, and you didn't know what it was. Well, one of my good friends lives in Independence. Is a bail bondsman.
Okay.
In Independence, and his name is Kevin Young. Well, it was KY is what everybody called him. And he came up with that was back when the Got Milk campaign was going. And so he went with Got KY, and everybody wanted one of those shirts.
Yeah, well, awesome.
You now have. I may have an extra one in my closet. I may have to go get that and give it to you.
I might take that.
Any stories that stick out to you that year, besides obviously the
As far as like stories, I mean, obviously we had a lot of fun times in the locker room.
Appropriate baseball stories.
I remember Delby, I think, hit 2 home runs in a Woodbat game one time. I just remember, there's a lot of things like that. I remember Seth just stealing every base possible. Storm doing his thing in the box, just stuff like that. I don't really remember.
That's the thing. That's the thing. You go back and you start talking about that season, and just talking to Coach Hicks. Obviously the game that sticks in your mind always will be that Kirksville game for anybody. Sure. Just being down 3-1, you're down to your final strike, you get the hit, but people forget we were down against Savannah in that game, and James had the big home run that put you guys into the quarterfinals. You just look back through the season. I mean, I was blown away.
I do remember that, actually, now that you bring it up, because I pitched that whole game and gave up, I think, 10 runs. I think we won 11-10, maybe.
Yep.
I threw a whole complete game and gave up 10 runs. I got rocked. I don't know why they left me in the game, but.
Well, they knew we were getting to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Coach knew he was getting to the quarterfinals, and he wanted Landon in that game.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure in that Kirksville game, I don't have it. I'll have to ask Coach Hicks. But they were not pitching their number one guy that day. They had two pitchers that were pretty solid, I believe. And their number one, who was supposed to be going to Mizzou, pitched their game on Tuesday of that week, because I think ours was a Thursday night game. And I'll have to ask Coach Hicks about it, but I don't think he pitched in that game. And I distinctly remember a situation there where after the game somebody walked by and he was having a pretty heated discussion with one of his coaches, mad because he didn't get to go in and pitch in the 7th inning. I'll have to ask Coach about that, because there was some choice words by him, I believe, after that game about why he didn't get to pitch. And I know he went to Mizzou, but I think he ended up going somewhere else after that. I don't think he ever panned out at Mizzou.
I like to think we still would have got him too.
I think at that point, yes, you're exactly right. I don't think it mattered at that point. I think the biggest key to that inning was you guys got back to the top of the order. Yeah. And if you go, what was awesome about Garrett Cleaver that year is he was just like the quiet assassin. He just did his job. But if you guys started at the top. You had Seth, then you had Storm, then you had Derek, then you had Delby, then you had you. Mm-hmm. And then you have, you back it up, then you got Landon behind him, James, Taylor Saunders, like 1 through 9. Everybody did their thing.
And Garrett wasn't the most skilled player, but he always seemed to make the play at the right time.
Or put the ball in play when he needed to.
Whatever he needed to do, he got it done somehow, some way.
And that's what, you guys from top to bottom, obviously, you got... I was just listening for a dong because my vehicle's over there as well. But you just listen, or you just go back and look at the 3 games in district. You talk about your guys' dominance.
His turn.
15-0, 16-2, and 15-1.
We had a pretty weak district that year, I guess.
It was Casey East, it was Ruskin, and Pembroke Hill. Obviously, they usually have a solid baseball program, but 46-3 in districts shows how dominant you could be. And then the records, you guys average almost 10 runs a game. Yeah. That's insane. That one gets by the first baseman.
If Seth gets on, he's going to be on second.
He was kind of like Terrence Gore before Terrence Gore.
Yeah,
if he got on base, a walk was as good as a triple with him and Storm.
You might as well just count that. But, Storm, like you just said, he had however many hits. The guy was unbelievable that year.
Well,
and then Derek, went to Northwest and played baseball. The kid's a baseball player.
That's
Harrisonville's own Sultan of SWAT. You remember when you called him that? Sultan of SWAT.
Who was that?
Did you call him that, Delby?
Maybe. I probably called him something silly. I heard Delby was going to try to make it tonight.
Yeah, that's what Coach Hicks was saying. But
seen Delby, but a good Delby story for Springfield. I remember in Springfield, Delby kept walking around. We went to Bass Pro.
Yeah, he fell asleep in that chair.
And then he started walking around, Dad. And he kept grabbing my arm all the way through Bass Pro for about 3 hours. Hey, Dad. So
that was a good dude.
There was some fun that season. And, speaking of coaches, Coach Samborski popped in here. see him make his way in.
Yeah.
The head man, the master of
air for Coach Sam.
We'll have to get him. We'll have to get Coach Sam on here real quick. I got a feeling the Cats are going to get about 3 or 4 runs here because we're going to extend this game over to the 6th. Just in case. That's one out. One out here. Bottom of the 5th, 13-1. Coach Samborski, glad you could make it back. And you know, we have had some stories about the 09 team so far. Being the head coach of that team, I asked Coach Hicks, and I would imagine your answer is going to be close to the same. But what is it about that 09 team you remember the most?
Oh, just resilient, just fun every day. Every day was a freaking adventure with some days, but just how they just never gave in. They expected to win. Coming to work, coming to the ball field every day with that group was really, really easy.
And it was fun. I mean,
yes.
It's you play a game and it's always fun. That's what I've talked about. I've told them all, and that was my favorite. I've been doing this 15 years, and that was my favorite thing. Was that year, that season was been my favorite season ever to cover a sport, just because how close everybody was. I mean, I remember riding the bus down to Camden with you, to Springfield, to Kirksville. It was just one of those teams that was so much fun to be able to be a part of. What did you say, or did you say anything to the team going into the 7th inning of that Kirksville game? You're down 3-1. What did you feel? I mean, did you just feel like you guys were okay?
To be honest with you, I was sitting in the third base dugout or coach's box, about to cry because I was thinking, what am I going to say to these guys? I had no idea. And then one thing came another, and Mr. Livingston hits a freaking ball, gets the win, and Landon strikes out the last guy, and before we know it, we're dogpiling on in the middle of the field, and we're going to the state, and what a rush.
It was
Logan Johnson.
That was the one thing, and I remember about the top of the 7th, I had a group of friends that were listening to the game, and the fun caveat to that was they were all from Kirksville, but they all lived in Blue Springs, and they were listening to the game, and after the game I was talking to him on the phone, and he goes, man, you were beat. He goes, and if you listen to like the top of the 7th inning from the beginning of it to the end, he goes, just the change, as you started getting runners on, you started getting a little bit more excited, until I was just listening. I sent it to Coach Hicks the other night. I found the DVD that Brownie made, and I was listening back to it. You can't hear a word I said when it goes down the right field.
And that's a good thing, though.
Yeah, it was like, I had to repeat myself. I was like, well, if you couldn't understand me, that was just so much fun. Is just everything about that season is like, one story after another, and that's what good seasons like that bring, is that it was a good team. There's a line drive into right field. That was my euchre line drive right there. Cats still alive here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. They got to get these 2 home plus the runner or the hitter at the plate to try to extend this game here. As we're in the bottom of the 5th, Cats down 13-1. Harrisonville grad coach Josh Spears got a good squad there for Smithville, trying to win on his old home field. He was telling us a story before the game, Coach, that there used to not be a fence here the first couple of years.
Yep, I've been told those stories too. Dave Wilson, who's the head coach at Staley, and we got them rolling up there. He more or less got the fence built here and it got the field where it is now.
He said he remembered somebody putting one over the road and the left fielder running.
Just going, yes.
4 miles to try to get the ball. But anything else stand out about that season for you? I mean, obviously we're back here, we're remembering it, but anything else stand out to you about that season? And that's going to get down, and that's going to score 1, and this is going to bring 2 to the plate. That'll make it 13-3, and a runner on second.
Nice hit right there.
Right in the gap. I saw about 419 of those your guys' year in 09, right in that gap right there.
The thing that stands out.
Fielder number 23, Colby
it's the memories. The thing, like I said earlier, it was just so fun to be around them as kids, as young adults, and building those relationships. That's what I remember. It's cliche, but that's exactly what happens. It's you stay in touch.
Yeah.
Facebook makes it a lot easier, but seeing guys. I saw Delby. I've seen Delby a lot since then because he does a lot of umpiring in the summertime with Legion, and I've coached a lot of Legion since then.
Line shot foul down the third base line.
But the big thing is just the relationships and the trust that they had in us and we had in them, and it was. And I learned lessons that I still use today. Heck, today at practice we got beat by Rockers last night 10-4, and felt like we.
Another line shot. If they can get it home, the Cats will run to the sixth. Here goes the throw to the plate. It's up high. Cats score, make it 13-4. And
You guys over at Forest.
you better be over there. I said 3. I told you.
But I learned how to.
Next up for the Cats.
It's not all about baseball. It's about having fun, letting them be kids, letting them play. We did that today. We got beat 10-4, broke a 6-game winning streak last night. Today we had a skills challenge that we had a lot of fun with. So we were catching fly balls with offhand on our glove, and it was a lot of fun. Opposite side swinging, and it's just having fun. We did a lot of those things. We had, we were inside that year. We played a lot of offhand dodgeball, which is a lot of fun and hilarious watching these kids try to throw left-handed or right-handed, whatever. So,
well, I was kind of teasing a little bit with them earlier, but I feel like they were the 14-15 Royals before the 14-15 Royals. They ran. They were fundamentally sound. They got the timely hits. And they were a brother. I mean, you look at that 14-15 team with the Royals with Haas and Moose and Kane and those guys. They just like being around each other as well. And I think that shows to anybody, anybody trying to build a program or anybody that's out there as a player, how do you get on one of those championship teams? That's one of the places it starts with being together and liking each other and just having fun.
Yep, exactly. It's something that sometimes you just can't teach. They've got to do that, and they've got to develop and grow up together sometimes, and sometimes it just clicks too, though.
And that is true. And that, we talked with Coach Hicks about it a little bit. One of the crazy things is you guys are a non-windy hit away from being back-to-back Final Fours with the playing Boonville. That was a heartbreaker of a game as well. Was that a 2-1 contest, I think?
And people ask me, was 019 the best team I had here? I tell them no. I thought the 018 because we had the established pitching with Brad Tyler, and that year we had a lot more established pitching. And they hit a duck fart to left field, and they get 2 runs, and we hit a duck fart and they catch it, and we would have got 2 runs there. And the right fielder makes a phenomenal play on keeping a ball, in front of him. And if not, it's Seth Bailey. He goes to the corner, and that might be inside the park home run. Yeah, we're real close going back to back, but what a great 2-year run. My first 2 years being a head coach, that's a nice way to cut your teeth.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got spoiled there, but it was those 2 years were a lot of fun, and cap it off with that third place win, coming back like we always did, coming back against Fulton. And I talked to the Fulton coach, a year or so later, and he says, "I knew you guys were going to come back. How you guys had been all year long."
Number 10.
That's what we did.
Yeah, it was just one of those seasons. And I told Coach Hicks I got scolded in the press box after that Cape game as I was leaving, and I was talking to a guy, and ended up being a guy from Fulton, and I said, that was a great game out there. I think you just watched the state championship game. And they go, "Oh, you think so?" Like, he got pretty upset because he felt that Fulton was okay. And, and I think this one's a line shot to center, but there for the catch of the Wildcats, and there's one out here in the top of the 6th. See, I said, we need to go a little bit longer so we can talk to everybody.
Absolutely. I'm glad it did. I was trying to get over here as fast as I could after practice, and
I know, and the first 4 innings went by so quick. We did that introduction. I was waiting for the seat.
I know it. I was trying to get here, and it just kind of wasn't in the cards, but I'm glad I got here, and I'm glad they scored 3 runs with 2 outs. Let's extend this inning.
We'll get to go and eat some dinner after this, though. I'm sure we'll have more stories.
Oh, yeah.
Pop in. Oh, right through the wickets at third and into left field. That'll be a E5 and put the runner on first base here in the 6th. So we got the coaching staff here now, Coach Hicks and Coach Samborski standing here.
Yeah, from that coaching staff, there's 3 head coaches because Joel McGee's out at Lewisburg. That's where I live now, and he's the head coach out there. So on that coaching staff, there's 3 of us. And
so what? And tell me what? Okay, so after you left Harrisonville, you went to Arizona, correct?
No, after I left Harrisonville, I went to Cassville for a year.
Okay.
Had a great experience down there with a really good group. Unfortunately, we lost first round district, but it was a really, really good group. Still close with those guys. Made really good friends with some people I worked with down there, still in contact with. And then got the opportunity to go out with a buddy out in Mesa, Arizona. Was out there for 2 years. We decided it was best for the family to come back for multiple reasons, but it was a good time. We enjoyed ourselves out there. Missed the weather all the time. Although it's supposed to be like pushing 100 this weekend. Not
You'll
quite.
take the 70s here this weekend.
Yes, but it's fun. It was a fun experience. I got some good friends, a good baseball experience. Then got a chance to come back here and was fortunate enough to land a job in the Blue Valley District, which is a great district over in Kansas, and at Blue Valley Northwest, and got into a very good situation. The guy who stepped down because he wanted to coach his sons, and he coaches a lot like Coach Hicks and I do. It's all about the kids, and it's all about the chemistry, and it's all about the mental side of the game, and it was a very easy transition. I work, his name is Corey Lang, I work right next door to him. We talk all the time, and it's been a pretty seamless transition, and we're down there and getting after it. Like I said, we just lost the Rockers last night, but we went on a 10-game winning streak, or 6-game winning streak, and that was a lot of fun, and bounced back and play tomorrow, and just trying to still going after that ring, and building those kids and developing kids. And
well, we'll allow you to wear purple because your purple's a little different than.
It's a Kansas purple.
Yeah,
it is a Kansas purple.
It's not a Pleasant Hill purple.
No,
that
it is not
some other gentlemen wear these days. As he's shaking his head, Landon is an assistant coach, JV coach over at Pleasant Hill. Some connections there. Obviously, it's right up the road, but and I guess we talk about that team. You talk about 3 head coaches now off the coaching staff. You have 2 players that are coaches now.
Yep.
James, is he the head or assistant at
Monette?
Monette, okay. I didn't know if it was Monette or Cassville.
Yeah, he's at Monette. I tried to get him at Cassville. If I would have stayed, I was going to really push to try to get him over. And then he got a chance to go over to Monette, and I got to know their coach pretty well. So he gave me a buzz, ask about him, and it was awesome to be able to say, oh yeah, you're getting a good one, and they love him down there. He's doing a great job. I know he can't be here because I think he got his master's degree this weekend. That's awesome. James, the things he went through and the ups and downs early on in his life, and
his dad passed away when he was young, and that just stuff like that. Just that whole team just going. I was talking about it earlier. You go up and down the list. You got Landon over here who helps out here in town with his dad and their business, and then he also goes up there and coaches, and right at the left fielder snagged for the 3rd out, and we'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Cats down by 9, but still got a pulse here, and looks like we're going to go a full 7. See, they knew we were up here talking, Coach Hicks.
I hope so.
Coach Hicks feels a comeback in the cards, I think, tonight.
A little bit of more Wildcat magic.
And what a better night to have, maybe a crazy comeback down 13-1. If you were to come back and win this one tonight, would be just amazing. Comeback from that far down. But it's a 13-4 score here as we are through 5.5 talking to Coach Hicks and Coach Samborski. Actually, now Coach Hicks is kind of in the background. You can hear him getting in on the conversation as well. But we're talking about all those kids and, you know, up and down that lineup where they're at now. You got Seth who's now a real estate agent in the Kansas City area.
He's got two little girls now. I talked to him. He's not here because they had already planned on going down to Springfield to go see. I think that's where his wife's family live. Yeah, he's got two girls, and
then Storm is out in Colorado as an insurance agent. Derek Haug is now a chiropractor.
Just graduated. Yep.
You know, it's crazy. Delby, I'm not 100% sure what Delby was.
Delby is a dredger on the Missouri River, and I talked to him today, and he said that his job would not let him off. He's on 7-day week shifts right now from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Oh yeah, dredging. And I know, and he's been doing that for a couple of years. I knew that. Kyle now working for the highway department. You know, we talked about Landon and James both into coaching. Taylor Saunders, there's another one that I'm not really sure what T-Son does, but I think he does something with physical therapy, maybe.
Yes, yeah, he does.
So
yeah, that's news to me. I know he.
And then we have the mysterious Garrett Cleaver.
Yeah. Okay.
That now he's like the guy from Sandlot.
Yes.
It disappears and nobody knows where he's at.
I texted him. I have his little sister in class, but I had texted him. She gave me his number. I didn't hear from him for about 4 or 5 days, and he is married and living kind of down by the plaza, doing some tech stuff. He's in a wedding tonight, so they had a rehearsal dinner, so he wasn't able to come either.
And then, well, you know, you have Brownie, who was our team photographer, and I'm sure we're gonna be watching this here in a little bit. And this was so funny. I found this the other night. Coach Hicks asked me, he says, "Hey, do you know where your DVD is?" He goes, "We're in the middle of a remodel, and I don't know where mine's at." So I found it. Well, for some reason, my microphone on my computer or my speaker was muted, and it didn't show that it was muted. And I was like, and Coach Hicks goes, "Yeah, your call's on that CD." I was like, I just got a bunch of pictures. And I texted him right back. I was like, never mind, I'm a complete idiot. He was on mute. So, you know, you had him with all the pictures, and then you've got Brandon Carver, Jeremy Savage, Kyle Humphrey, Justin Schrock, Tyler Hearn, Mitchell Perney. You know, all those guys at some point in the season had a moment. You know, they were in there, and it was one of those fun seasons to be a part of. And I just, you know, like I said, we've told stories all day, and we've only hit on like a couple.
Yeah.
Can we talk about weapons and ammo?
Yeah, got to talk about weapons and ammo.
Here, you know what? I'm going to let these two talk about weapons and ammo, because that was I'm going to give my headset to Coach Hicks and let these two talk baseball and the game and the weapons and ammo, because they've got a better insight to that, because that was more of a practice thing. It was during some of the games, but practice was a huge thing. So I'm going to give the ball over to those two and let them talk, and I'm just going to sit here and listen.
Next up to the Cats, the designated hitter, number 7, Brian Schrock.
Okay, so Jay, do you remember where that started at?
Yeah, Raytown South tournament, like first game of the year.
Yep. Okay, so
they were playing what were they playing? COD?
They were playing Call of Duty. And it was about the time. I mean, they were kind of watching the Band of Brothers thing too, and I was kind of into the Band of Brothers, and we were trying to find a way for those guys to get after foul balls, because you get tired of having them go get it. You know, who's going to go get it? Fly ball center field in the bottom of the 6th. We go to the top of the 7th. Smithville up 13-4. So I think it happened in practice. I said, you guys need to make a game out of it. Mm-hmm. And I said, you guys need to, it's like a recon mission like Call of Duty. You got to tie it into something those kids know and understand. And I said, you be like Band of Brothers when they go to Brecor Manor. Just weapons and ammo. That's all you need. And we're going. And those kids took that and ran.
Yeah,
because
Storm hit a bomb at Raytown, and it went down the street.
Yep.
And then there goes all of them running out of the dugout, go get it, and they come back, and I look over, and they're got guns, and it was on from there. And And then Coach has got a great story about how that developed, and then we take it down to state.
Oh, well, we got to back up to Smith Cotton, the Sedalia tournament first.
Yes.
These guys, they were using bats as rifles, and I remember one at Raytown South, some parent had it, and they ambushed him.
Yep.
Give it up. Give the ball. And then, so at Smith Cotton, Sedalia turned down wonderful Liberty Park. They, wooden grandstands and everything, and it goes out and it's hard to see. Well, Smith Cotton was not playing, and so their kids were shagging the balls.
Yep.
And our guys come flying out of the gate, and it scared the crap out of those kids.
Yep.
And then it became a game to see who could get to it first and who could quote unquote kill the other guys.
Yep.
So on to state, we get down there, and an old umpire buddy of mine, Colonel Murphy, who is a retired ROTC teacher at Hillcrest, and he's retired from the Air Force. We're in third base dugout at Metter, and he's over there, and he goes, you guys don't have to chase foul balls. He goes, we got people to go do that. I'm like, oh, Colonel, yes, we do. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I said, you see those Army helmets hanging down there? You remember we got them Army helmets.
Yep, they had his helmets on about, halfway through the season, and
yeah, foul ball out of play,
had
right side, 3-2 count.
Like rifles underneath their helmets, and everywhere we went.
So they hung the helmets in the dugout down on the end because they knew that it was going to go out that way. I said, first foul ball goes out, watch these guys. And it wasn't very long. I think first inning, one went out down there, and if I remember right, I think it was fly ball to center field. Colby Knowles back, tracks it down, and we go to the bottom of the sixth with Smithville up 13-4.
That was the second out.
I'm sorry. Second. How many outs you got? 1 out. Sorry, my bad. There was 2 up there. I'm just trying to follow the board. 1 out.
I don't know who this kid you have on the mound, Dave, is, but he looks like Kyle Humphreys from a distance.
That's Peyton Goss. That's Jared Goss's little brother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he does kind of look like Kyle,
lanky,
doesn't he?
And kind of a long face. And
yep.
Kyle Humphreys.
Yep.
Looks just
Kyle Humphreys. Yep. So the first foul ball goes out at Metter, and Coach Stratton and Coach Hagler, who were the coaches at Drury, and that was kind of their field, they started to go after it. Well, these guys donned the helmets and the rifles, and they go charging down there, and they held up Hagler and Stratton and held them hostage and wouldn't let them go get the ball. And Colonel Murphy is rolling in the dugout. He said, that is hilarious. He goes, that's awesome. So those guys kind of took something that is mundane and made it fun, and that was just that team.
Next time we play Sedalia, those guys, they get their own weapons and ammo, so teams starting to compete against them, and it for a couple of years there, it became a blast to watch freaking kids go get foul balls.
Yep.
I think one of our kids threw a bat at another kid and tripped him, and it got a little crazy, it got a little physical, but
next up for the Warriors,
it's something that just happened. That's the best thing is when it just happens. You don't even plan it; it just takes off like that.
Right. Yep. There was a lot of things. We were talking about the slug bug game, and I told them where that all started with me punching you in the arm on the way to St. Joe in 2008. So there's a lot of good stuff, and there's some other stuff that, we'll just put it this way, of guys checking oil.
Oh yeah.
And then
tree stumping.
Tree stumping. There's one I forgot about.
Tree stumping. The tree stumping was always a must.
Yeah, I think they got you down and tried to check your oil a couple of times too.
Kyle liked to check my oil.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, you're doing well too.
Kyle, one of the things that when we went down there on the field, base hit to center field by Smithville. Throw is not going to be in time to get him. Smithville has runners at second and third with 1 out now. That kid can fly a little bit, because that was not very deep into the outfield on a ground ball.
Next up for the Warriors, the shortstop.
One of the things that Kyle and I were talking about earlier was him jumping over me before the start of every game.
I forgot about that.
And so when we
got
went,
a picture of that somewhere.
Do we?
Yeah, somebody took a picture of it and got it.
There it is. There's a picture of that.
There's a picture.
And missed fly ball in right field, and now bring home 2 more Smithville runs, 15-4 now. So we're down there by third base dugout tonight, and I was standing there where I used to stand, and I asked Kyle, I said, is this about right? You need me right here? And I need to get back a little bit more. And he says, Coach, that ain't happening.
That ain't happening
He
now.
goes, I will take you out.
Yes. He maybe get up to your shoulders.
But he used to.
It's hard to believe that those kids are 28. They're pushing 30 already.
Yeah. And I didn't even have to bend down. He would just come flying over the top of me, hat and all, and he had some ups.
The Warriors, if you left fielder, number 10, George.
Yeah, that was a fun year. A lot of memories, and we were talking earlier, Landon and I, about when you make the playoffs, and I've got the district and state bracket here because I'd forgot a lot of stuff, but when you get into that, it's a blur.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you just, you remember bits and pieces. I remember bits and pieces. Other guys remember stuff that you forget.
That's what people don't realize when you get in the playoffs. It happens so fast. You play, and 2 days later you're playing, and that year, I guess because I was a little bit younger, going up to Kirksville
and then
to go
driving
scout
to Cape the next day.
Scout a playing, they're playing Green Valley in the first round, and then come back and we have a game, we win, or we go up to Kirksville the next day, and then next day I go down to Cape and watch those guys play and try to get an idea of what we got there. And a great team. Little story I like to tell about that Kirksville game was, if I don't go up there and scout them, I don't realize that the umpire behind home plate is from Kirksville.
Yep.
And there's a rule in Missouri that the teams have to agree on umpires, or we can take one from our area. And I said we need to do that. Well, that didn't happen where we took somebody, but they did get an umpire they don't typically get, and they put him behind home plate because he wasn't from Kirksville. And we fully believe that that the ball call before Kyle's base hit to give us the lead, that umpire the night before behind the plate would have been behind the plate, and he would have made that call because he tells Coach Six, ooh, I would have called that a strike.
Yeah, he said it's been there all night.
Yeah. And it's just those little things that make a season, make a game. And
one I didn't get to talk to you guys about was Seth's play against Cape Notre Dame. His 2 unassisted caught stealing.
Yes.
It's kind of funny you say that because I was talking to Nathan Schrock down there, Justin's dad. He went out in place of Justin because Justin's in North Carolina now, and he brought that up. He goes, do you remember when Seth ran that kid down by himself?
Yep.
And I'm like, no. Yeah. It was crazy. I don't remember that, and then you brought it up, and I'm like, okay, now I do.
I don't exactly remember how it went down totally, but what I remember about it was like the kids stopped between second and third. And it was like a game of chicken between the two. And Seth just kept getting closer and closer and closer until he just took off running and chased the guy down. Because we just you watch the whole thing and you're like, I wish I could have my play call of that. Because it was so, you're just like, and then he gets it. 2 unassisted. He's caught stealing.
Yeah.
Between second and third. It wasn't like it was 2 unassisted behind home plate.
Yeah, you don't see many of those.
You don't see a lot of catchers that can run like that either, though.
Yeah.
George.
Man, we were blessed those years having great catchers.
Oh, yeah.
That Miles Peterson in 08, and then Seth, and then we backed that up 4 years with Mitchell Haug. We were blessed behind the mound, or behind the plate.
Did you guys go undefeated in conference that year? Did you win?
No, we went 9-1. I got the baseball somewhere. You gave me a ball on that or something, but
we didn't win in 08. We won it in 09.
Yeah.
I think we lost to Green Valley. One of the Green Valley games didn't win it.
One of the more memorable games, and I can't remember if it's from that year or not. I think it is. Green Valley was ranked like 4th or 5th, and we were ranked the other one. And we have a game here, and
no, this would have been. Oh, this would have been at. That's a Green Valley team though. Creason, wasn't he play for them?
Yeah. There's a blast. 3-run homer by Smithvillle now makes it 19-4 in the top of the 7th.
Was that a Green Valley team? Pew.
I
don't think those are Green Valley. That was a Green Valley team.
I don't think that's Green
Valley.
Valley.
I think it's Green Valley is Creason because he played football, and that's the only reason I think. But I don't know. I just saw he had this in this book.
But I remember the home plate umpire was a rookie umpire.
Yeah.
And he kept checking his watch between innings. And I remember going to first base in the bottom of the first, and the strike zone was ankles to shoulders.
Yeah.
And Coach Lyford at Green Valley then looked over, and we just kind of looked at each other like, oh my gosh, where's this guy from? He goes, what's he doing looking at his watch? I said, I don't know. I'm going to find out when I go back across. And so the inning ended, and I'm going back across, and he's sitting there looking at his watch, and I said, are you in a hurry to get out of here or what? He goes, nope. He goes, you have 20 seconds to get on off the field and deliver the first pitch. I'm like, what? He goes, it's in the book. I said, well, I think we play fast enough. We don't need a stopwatch on this game.
Yeah, that's two pretty good teams too.
Yeah, and to put a rookie umpire behind the plate in a game with the number 4 and 5 ranked teams in the state.
Yep.
You know another crazy thing about that 09 team, the game against Lebanon. Well, you guys won in extra innings, but almost didn't know if they were going to be in that tournament because they played against the team that kid had.
The Waynesville kid.
Yep.
Yeah. I will never forget that because
that was that kid's first game pitching after he'd hit that kid.
Yeah, and we went down there playing that tournament at Camdenton. Waynesville had the game right before us at Camdenton, and that was their first game back since then.
Yep, I remember that. That was
played them too.
Yep.
They were still on the city field then.
Yep, still on the city field, and that was I'll never forget this. And
Next up, the Warriors.
Telling our kids, it was a very emotional week, for not just for Waynesville, but for all those teams that were playing down there, because you don't know how they're going to react. And
it was emotional for us because our kids were wearing the same type of helmets that kid had on. It was a softball.
It was.
Helmet.
Yep. That's right.
We were talking about we need to go get new helmets, and because it was rounded in the back.
Yep. And it was a freak play. The kid got hit at the base of his skull on the spine, and it killed him. They lifelined him. He died a couple of days later, but it was a hit by pitch. But and our kids, I think a lot of those kids put his number on their hat for that tournament in honor of him. But
that was a pretty emotional tournament.
It was, and then I remember at State after we lost to Cape Notre Dame in the Final Four, and you kind of said yours, or you were letting me talk first, or whichever. But I remember I said, guys, we got to put this in perspective. There's 167 teams, or how many ever there were, that would love to be where you're at right now. I said, and there's especially one in Waynesville.
Yep.
Who would love to have their player back.
Yep.
I said, you guys are so fortunate to be here and to be alive.
After you said that, they perked up, and then I think I mentioned that, hey, we got a chance to break the school record in wins. And
win the last game of the year.
And win the last game. We were the last game, period, that year.
Yep.
And everything.
Yep.
I remember that year they had to turn off the lights after the game.
Oh, that's right. We couldn't find our way out.
Yeah, they turned off the lights, and they wanted to go home, and I didn't want to go home. I remember that game, that third place game. You and I decided, hey, we're gonna not coach them very much. We're just gonna sit back and watch. We didn't call pitches.
No.
It was just, hey, this what we knew was going to be the last one with those boys, and We decided, hey, we're just going to watch and have fun with them and
let them go play.
And then they come back again.
Yep.
Started by Garrett Cleaver. Man, how many rallies did he start that
9-hole,
especially down the stretch?
Yeah.
I still put such a huge value on the 9-hole because of Garrett Cleaver.
Yep.
Every 9-hole, I want a guy who's going to put the ball in play, that is going to make something happen. Nobody expects him to do it. I mean, it's just.
And Garrett was deceivingly fast too.
Yep, he was.
He was a smart ball player on defense too. So.
He was your all's Esky.
Yeah. You know, we had
slap it or put the ball in play.
You know, we sit here and talk about Seth and Storm and Delvey and Kyle and Landon and, you know, Derek and those guys, but, you know, it was a team. Those guys, those role players like, you know, Taylor Saunders and Garrett Cleaver and Jeremy Savage coming in and throwing some relief, and, you know, Justin Schrock doing the same thing and filling in a little bit in the outfield. Those guys, you know, they kept things going. They all had their little moments of glory too.
Taylor Saunders pitched 6 innings in the third place game. Kyle closed it out.
Yeah.
Wasn't Taylor undefeated that year?
I think he was.
He was like.
I think he was undefeated that year. He had a great year.
You know, something I remember from that team too is after the first time the emotion got to them after the loss, obviously in the semis. Those kids were devastated that they weren't going to play for a state title. But about an hour and a half later, us three are sitting there.
Oh yeah, Fuddruckers.
Fuddruckers, yes.
They're throwing.
Yeah, they're throwing stuff at each other,
laughing, and we were like, that shows you like a high school kid, the resiliency. Like a couple hours later, and that team especially, like they were not going to let that loss define them. And they bounced right back, and then did what they did the next day. That's just.
Next up for the
Big
Cats,
hit by Corbin Hall here in the bottom of the 7th.
Logan Johnson.
This game has gotten away from the Cats. It's 19-4 Warriors with 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th, and looks like Coach Spear. And Coach Spear, speak of which,
yeah, I know. Yeah, we've been talking about it.
Harrisonville grad. Him and Adam Crone, the assistant coach over there at Smithville, and Coach Spear. His name's on the record board for career walks with 77. So I told him I was going to give him a little mention up here, and he's like, no, please don't. It's a very patient hitter.
Yes.
Great guys over there at Smithville.
He's had a pretty good run over there at Smithville.
Yep.
They got a good ball up there.
It looks like he's got another one working here with some younger guys.
And, speaking of Coach Spear, wouldn't go without noted, Smithville went the farthest they've gone in football in years. Defensive coordinator on that football team. And was a finalist for the Pleasant Hill head football job.
Oh, was he?
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
The more you know.
The more you know, yep.
It's crazy watching these Harrisonville kids, though, and this team here, and I remember a lot of these kids when they were little bitty. The Johnson kid up there, and you have a Schrock down there,
they were coming to the youth clinic back in the day.
I tried to get Mike Charlton to come up. I couldn't get a hold of him because his group was, so little that time, and they were coming to all those clinics, and Mike wanted to know everything and what we were doing, and.
Couldn't ask for better weather tonight, though.
Oh, beautiful.
About 69 degrees, a little bit of a breeze is out of the south. I can't see the flag from here, but good to get together with these guys and rehash these memories. And it was kind of fun typing that stuff up today and looking at that bracket. Okay, so. Do you remember who we played in the district championship game and what the score was?
It was Pembroke Hill that year, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And we beat them bad, like 13-3 or
it was 15-1.
15-1.
Okay, so here's a little trivia for you, Coach. What team scored the most runs against us in districts?
Now pitching for the Warriors.
It was that first team.
Nope.
No. Was it them?
Nope.
No. I don't know.
Ruskin scored 2 against us.
Yeah, the first game. The first game we won that.
No, because we played East the first game. Casey East beat them, and then we played Ruskin and beat them 16-2, and then Pembroke was the district championship game.
I remember that game. That was just because the year before it was a dogfight with Pleasant Hill.
Yes.
And that was.
as it always is.
Yeah, that was that 09. It was just methodical.
Yeah. Well, remember, because Coach Diskin, who's now back at Pembroke Hill and got pretty good team working there too.
Yeah, got a really good team. Got a center fielder who's going to Michigan or maybe even be drafted this year.
Yeah,
good kid.
Remember, he always had plays, and we had the defense for those offensive plays.
We always had to have a Pembroke Hill practice. Is what we call it.
Yes, Pembroke Hill practice, and same thing. When not just us on defense, but us on offense too, because he would pick.
Yep.
Wherever and have somebody moving around. So, a lot of things. Another foul ball, 1-2 count on Logan Johnson. Sorry, I was talking there. So,
hey, that's what I said. That's why we were doing it today.
Yeah.
We're going to have a baseball game as a backdrop, and
I heard that there was no
you went and got yourself tossed out of a baseball game.
Yeah, made it convenient.
Yeah.
I think he did. I think he did on purpose. Although he's got to do that paperwork now, or you got to go through your online course.
Yes, I have to do that before I can coach again.
And Stevenson here that time back then he was a little guy. I was giving him catching lessons, hitting lessons,
and
it went foul though. Got hit pretty deep.
Yep.
Glad to see him. I know he went some ups and downs last year and left the team. And I'm glad to see him back and playing.
Glad to have him back. I mean, he's been an asset back there. He's been the field general, with those pitchers and
Is he a junior or senior?
He's a sophomore.
Oh yeah, he's young. Yeah.
So talk about line of catchers. It continues with Hagen Stevenson back there, and then
it's Harrisonville. Who was that big tall kid that was here before? We were here. We were real tall. They had like a 6'6", 6'7" guy.
Was that Drew Gray?
Yeah, Drew Gray.
Yeah.
Drew Gray. Yeah. It's been a lot of good catchers come through here.
After ball game, Warriors win.
Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Chad here so I can go down and talk to my guys, and I'll be back up in a little bit.
All right, the final score tonight, 19-4. Cats fall to the Smithville Warriors. Coming through, playing a game on their way down to Carthage for the weekend. So the final score 19-4 in this non-conference matchup. And Smithville, one of those programs that good program up in North Kansas City also, and they play in the toughest conference in the state. I would argue one of the toughest conference in the state because they play in the Suburban Blue Conference. However, they also play a lot of the other suburban schools as well. And top to bottom, you look at all those teams in the Suburban. You probably play
we played. We beat Blue Springs last week. It was a real close game. I think we beat them 5-2. And me being a Missouri boy, anyways, we're going to try to get some of those guys. We're trying to get Staley on the.
Have you guys been down yet, or are you guys coming down for a game against Webb City? Or
no, we were going to out there in Kansas. We can only play 20 games. Gotcha. I got to be careful how I work those. But we're gonna for sure try to play a lot of the Kansas City schools and try to go down to Springfield and at Joplin areas and just good baseball. And I know a lot of those guys from my years in Missouri, and got Coach Hicks. He brought his C team over and played our freshman team. We have 4 teams over there. Our freshman team. It was 2 weeks ago today. They came over and played a doubleheader, and hopefully we keep that going.
Well, Coach, it has been a blast to be able to relive some of these on the air tonight. Ron has probably heard quite a few stories he did not know about before tonight. Ron's been with me for a lot of these rides, 10 years of doing some video and stuff. Didn't get to do any baseball with me, but all the other ones. So he got to hear the baseball stories tonight, and we've got a plethora of them, and I'm sure we will talk about even more of them as the night goes on. But those will be off air, and we'll just enjoy.
Yes,
we'll enjoy those as well. But the Cats fall 19-4. Here tonight to the Warriors of Smithville. Coach Spear comes back to his old stomping grounds and gets a W here against the Cats. Cats were understaffed tonight with Coach Hicks not allowed to manage the game, but nevertheless, it was fun to be able to have him up here as well. And the final score tonight, again, 19-4. You're not going to hear from us again until, I think, about August 30th, which would be the first game of the football season. But you know, 4Ts will have that season, and we may see Coach Coach Samborski back down here.
Yeah,
week 3 or
heck, this year I don't know if they're going to play each other, but they played Blue Valley Northwest, and it was a good game. And
I think they're supposed to have a 2-year contract, but you know those things change quickly as well.
We're talking about changing conference and stuff like that out there, so who knows what's going to happen. So, but yeah, if they do, I'll probably end up coming down.
So we will have some football this fall. Hopefully we'll have some more baseball next year as we're working on some new packages for everybody. So again, your final score tonight, 19-4, Cats fall. We will see you this fall for some football.